Hi. Okay, again, this is something very casual here. I just wanted to follow up with the post that I was writing, the two different pages of testimony that we have been sharing the last couple days. I just wanted to talk with you, whoever's listening, whoever hears this. I wanted to share something about why, what it was, and why I continued to stay in an unhappy, bad marriage. Um, and this is where it gets really difficult to talk to people because everybody sort of has their own situation. Um, we don't know what's going on in somebody's life, in somebody's marriage. It's very difficult. There are things that are happening. There's abuse. There's just stuff, and stuff really hurts, and I know this. Um, and I'm glad that my husband has shared some of the things that he shared about his alcohol use and the things that have happened while he was under the influence of alcohol, and the horrificness, is that a word? The horrificness of what alcohol can do to a family, to a person. And I wanted to, again, I don't make notes. I just turn this thing on. I just turn this thing on so I can just talk because I have to get this out. I don't know. I always had a feeling deep down inside that my life, my story was connected to this pain and suffering, that something would happen good because of it. I just always had that feeling. It's not like God came out and spoke it to me, or I read it and it came over me. It's just, I've had a feeling forever, like ever since I was a little girl, that something that I was created for something. And, I just knew from reading the Bible or hearing about the Bible that most people who were into something good or their life meant something, it was because they had gone through something. And as far as marriage goes, I remember a time when I had just started to read. I was reading the book by Debbie Pearl, and I was seeking the Lord in marriage and what it meant to be married and what that should look like. And I remember Googling when does God allow divorce? Does God like divorce? Is that divorce ever okay? When can a man leave a woman? When can a woman leave? Like, I was trying to justify, I was trying to get, I was trying to get, I was trying to figure out a reason, a way to justify us not being together. And I couldn't. It was like a year and I couldn't. And, I remember always feeling a sense of, the God just sitting in that place with me. Like, I would be like, but I should be happy. I should be happy here. I should be happy in marriage. This is what it should look like. And this is what you say marriage should look like, God. And this is not what it is. And I want that. And I want to be happy. And I just, I just read something right before I turned this camera on. A friend of mine posted this on Instagram, and it just kind of caught me. It caught me. And everybody knows 1 Corinthians 13. Everybody knows that love is patient. Everybody knows what that says. But the first part of this is something maybe that I couldn't put into words, that God has already put into words for me to speak. If I speak in tongues, if I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but I do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but I do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but I do not have love, I gain nothing. I guess this is where I am in marriage and in the tough situations in life, in the partnerships, in the situations that we are in every day with people, in our relationships with our parents, with our church, with everybody. I felt like I had all this biblical knowledge and truth coming into my life, and I wanted to take it somewhere else to be happy. I wanted to pick up the Bible and I wanted to pick up Jesus, and I wanted to move out, and I wanted to move into a happy place, and I wanted to live that life, and Jesus wouldn't let me go. He was saying, this is who I've called you to love first. This is the situation I am asking you to be in. I've called you here. You're married. You're in here. God has created this marriage. You're in here. You've already done it. Whether you think it's a mistake or not, it's done. You were married under God. You were married, and here you are. And that's when I started to realize that I couldn't leave my family. Like, I couldn't leave because my reasons were because I wanted to be happy. And I just had always wondered, would God ever really allow like true lasting peace and joy if I went against his will for me to love people like I was supposed to love, like he tells us to love. But why wasn't, I could love my neighbor and I could love my friends and I could love my kids, but where was my husband excluded out of this? I didn't understand. And this is where I am. This is where I don't want to separate myself from people, in the sense that I feel as if we are talking about marriage, then we're going to separate into categories, but you don't know what I've been through, or you don't know how bad it is, or you don't. And the fact is maybe I don't, but I do somewhat. The more that we reveal from our testimony, the more I feel we can relate. My husband can relate to other men who maybe have had women who have been unfaithful. I can relate to somewhat a sense of physical violence or being scared, or, my husband not, addiction. We can relate to all sort of the tragic things that threaten to break up a marriage, financial difficulties, anything that we've been through. We're standing here saying that, God doesn't want us to get out of the situation. We always knew that. I think we did. My husband did from the beginning too. And I knew that too, no matter what I did to try and justify leaving. It didn't feel right inside. It didn't feel right to me that I would, have to share with my kids one day that I just left their dad because I wasn't happy, and I couldn't face that. And I don't know if I was given because I asked for it. I asked for a supernatural amount of faith to get through what God had called me into. I asked for help. I said to God, if you're asking me to stay and you're asking me to do this, then I can't do this without you. And that's, I think, the key for me is that we can't expect to do these things alone. I also, ironically, started a blog when we lived in North Carolina before I even started the art, and it was called Counting It All Joy. And I wouldn't, my daughter Lucy, her middle name is James. I felt very connected to James, the teaching of James. I just love the book of James because I love what James says. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all who without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable in all they do. I really, really connected to that. I connected to the fact that God would not be putting me through this situation if there was not something good to come out of it. And I wasn't excluded. This wasn't something that was odd. I didn't make the grandest mistake in life by getting into something completely horrible. This wasn't it. It was like, this was it. It was like, this was the test. It was connected to my destiny. We are here today. Many things because of the two of us are here together. Do I think that I could have divorced my husband and he would have, do you think that he could have left me? And once he found out that I was unfaithful to him, and he could have gone off and become a chief petty officer in the United States Navy. I think he and I would both sit here today if he was sitting here next to me. He would tell you that I don't believe that the two of us would be where we are today without each other. And I think that there is something to that. I think that we have a peace. We have a peace in our mind and in our soul and with our conscience and our connection to God, that we did the right thing. And as you can hear from my testimony that I've written out, the first two parts, that it wasn't always for a very long time, my husband didn't even have any idea what was going on in my life. Like, there was a good 5 years where I was studying the word and talking to God and praying and going to church and all these things. And he had no idea. Like, he had no idea that this was happening. He wanted no part of it. There was no revelation on his behalf. And this was all just going on in my life before it went on in his life. So I can't even say that, two people need to be joined together under one accord. You need to come up with, but like, as if you were saying, well, my husband or my wife, doesn't believe that we should be together, or he has already left. My husband has already left, or my wife has already left, or whatever. And I'm the one that's sitting here praying, and she doesn't even know the Lord, or whatever. And I hear this all the time from people. And the biggest thing that I want to drive into the hearts and minds of people who are reading our testimony is that God has a hold of the situation, even when you don't think he does. Like, there is not one single thing that is out of his control, or there's not one time where he doesn't see what's going on. He's all seeing, all knowing. He's everywhere at all times, and he sees every single thing that we do. We can't escape it. And so I know that he was preparing my husband's heart for what he was going to receive when we moved here. And he would receive the good news, and he would receive Jesus, and he would be baptized here. And this is the good thing, is that my husband came into his own relationship with Jesus Christ. And it wasn't because of me. It was it wasn't because of me telling him that he needed it. It was because God had allowed it at the time. My husband received it on his own. And my husband would tell you that he is grateful that I stayed and prayed for him, and that I stuck with him, and that I've supported him in his career. And even when he didn't deserve it, I continued to support him and encourage him and be there for him. And I feel like we are just people who are trying to run away from the things that hurt us. And I just want whoever is watching this, I just want whoever to know that these are the good things. that the things that are hurting us, that are set out to destroy us, that are set out to break us apart and cause pain and hurt in our life, are the things that God wants us to give to him, let him change, let him fix on his time, and then he wants to give it back to us in better than we gave it to him. And that's who he is. He is restoration. He's healing. He looks for people who want to honor that part of him, that he's God, that he's in charge, that we believe that he's in charge. So we submit our lives to him. We give him all the problems, and we read his word, and we take it in, and we let him speak to us. And when we receive a word from him, when we receive his promises through the Bible, that we actually believe that he gave us this word because he wants to heal us and restore us, and we get through it, and he gives it back to us. So here I am in a place where I would like to just encourage someone today that if you are feeling a heavy spirit of conviction, a good spirit of conviction, that you should stay and you should give your marriage to God, and or whatever it is, your relationship with a friend, a parent, whoever it is, that they are deserving of God's love just as much as you are, that they are in need of it just as much as you are, just as much as I am, as everyone is. And so that's where I wanted to follow up this talk with. If you want the first 2 installments, or whatever you want to call them, are up on my website, www.melissalionsart.com. And I just wanted to clear up today, because I knew that I would be having a lot of people say, well, that's great. I'm glad that everything worked out for you guys. And, but it's just too bad. It's just too bad over here. And it's, or whatever. And I get that. And I understand that. I just want you to know that it's not just for me, that it's for everyone. That when God says in 1 Peter that our love is, if any of us are married to a man who does not believe, that it's our love that will win them over. And I believe that. And I stood on that. And I trusted God that what he said to me was true, and it came true, and it happened. And I'm praying for that for everyone that's, going to be receiving this message. And I'm so thankful that I can trust God and his word. And I'm so thankful for this crappy webcam and this living room I'm in, that I can share this testimony with you. It's so important for me. I'm so happy that this has come to a time where we are healed and that we are able to share this with you. So thank you. And go read the first 2 parts. Thanks. Bye.